don't know how good of a demo this is going to be for YouTube, but we'll see. So here, I already indicated a little tiny bit, but what I need to do is I need to get in under some of these branches that are full of snow. They are basically lying on the snow-covered ground. But to separate the branch from the ground, I need to decide what's darker. Not meaning that it's going to be super dark, but what's darker? Well, the ground would be darker because the branch is going to cover up for the light a little bit. And I will just use a little bit of my usual shadow color, which is my Cobalt Blue with a little bit of the Opera Rose in. And maybe grade down a little bit with the burnt sienna. I thought it was a little too lavender. So I just go under here a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Can you see? And I'm kind of poking into it to make it look more like that top. It's the branch, right? And I can even do a little bit here because that's going to help bring out the snow that I have on the little fence there. And then I take another brush, and this is the step that some of you are missing. Then I take another, I could rinse this out, but now I have good shadow color on and I'm going to use it again. So I just take another brush. Don't take a little tiny brush. You want one that can hold some water, but you don't want it dripping wet. It's just damp. There's a nice big brush, and then I go in before this, hopefully before this dries on me, and I smudge it out so that I'm losing the edge. And can you see now it goes into that bank and disappears, and I outlined the snow on the branch there. And let's do some more of that. That was kind of fun. Let's do some more of that. So over here, I don't know exactly what's going on, but there's definitely some other branches, and maybe there's some little bushes that got all squashed by the heavy snow on the branches. And see how, again, this is the shape I'm after saving. The line on the other side, I don't want you to see that. So then I go in with my damp brush hopefully before it dries on me, and I catch that and smush it around until it kind of disappears. And now I've split up the branch from the ground by very little. And if it, like here, it's a lot of hard lines. If I think it got a little too perfect, I just spray into it a little bit, and that's going to mess it up in a good way. Mess it up in a good way. And if it got a little too dark, I'm using on purpose very forgiving colors. Cobalt Blue, French Ultramarine Blue, they lift easily. That's why in a painting like this, I personally don't like to use staining colors, because I know there'll be a lot of lifting up and a lot of changing my mind and say, oops, that doesn't look very good. So don't be so worried about it, because you can really, really go in and lift out a lot of this. Even after it's dry, it'll lift, as I just showed you earlier. So don't be so worried about it. And okay, so now I already have a few lines where I can kind of sort of barely see that there were some branches that are snow-laden that are in front of other branches. So like for instance here, maybe there's one here. Can you see that? I'm finding that one. And again, do I want to leave a hard line like that? Nope, because I don't really know what that is. So if I don't know what it is, it disappears. And the same up here. So now this was what I brought out, and a little bit this one, because here's another one and it's overhanging that fence. And so there'll be a little shadow behind it. There's other branches, more snow, all that stuff. And I'm just gonna smoosh that out, smoosh that out. And can you see how now I have some lighter shapes? And maybe even go up here a little bit. And there's another little one. And then I want to just smoosh that into the background, because I don't really know what it is. And
I got the smooshing down pretty good.
oh, good. See? That's a step in the right direction. You cannot underestimate the smooshing technique. There, and can you see how I'm just kind of telling you there are some little branches here and there, and maybe here, emphasize that one a little bit more here. And you can see now I jumped to a completely different place because I don't want to get too hung up on one place. That's when we start defining too much and telling too much.
Stay too long.
Yeah, don't stay too long in one spot.
You're welcome.
And smoosh there a little bit.
Yeah.
And slowly it's going to start telling you what it needs. For those of you that did the previous class where we did that with the plastic wrap, remember we did a lot of this too? It's basically the same idea, where we just try and make some shapes out of nothing, basically. And here I'm just dabbing in, and you know, I'm doing it with a very light lavender, so I'm not really committing too much. And then let's go in here now that I'm gonna get a little braver. So now I'm gonna put a little thin wash of that French Ultramarine blue with a hint of yellow in. And I actually had a little bit of that shadow color still on my brush, so it's gonna be a very grayish blue-green. And I'm just thinking, now that I'm getting out here to the edges, sometimes I like to go and kind of darken a little bit more out here. And so let's just go in here and just find an edge and lose it right away. Into nothing, into nothing. Can you see that? It's another little edge.
We can see it, we just can't do it.
Another little one here on the other side, and then right away I lose it into nothing. And if I think, oh, that's too many hard lines, spray bottle comes out. And let's just go up here. And see, see how I got a run back there? You haven't seen me panic about that yet, have you? No.
Are you going to?
No?
Oh, good.
I wasn't planning on.
Never doesn't. Should we all?
And now I put a little tiny bit of pink in here. That was maybe a little too fun. But,
You're having too much fun.
yeah. So but see how then I just blend it out. And I kind of wanted to have a little bit of warmth here because if I'm saying the light's coming from there, maybe it's a little warm on that side. And so, ooh, oh my goodness, help!
You got into it.
Yeah, but I just do a little bit like this. And then let me just get a little bit of that shadow color on the other side, which a little bit away from the light. Right? And then here, I'm getting braver by the minute. I had a little pink on here. I just think it's kind of fun, so if I think it's fun, I just do it. Why not? It's my painting. I can do what I want. It's my world. It's your world and your paintings. So just a little bit like that, up here, blah, blah, blah. A little bit darker. There. Put some spray in so we'll get all this diffused a little bit. Whoops. I don't even know which one's supposed to be red, clean and dirty here. There.
I'm gonna need the video to look at this.
Yeah, and I will.
This is all
Start
on
over
YouTube.
again.
Yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube. And I have another much simpler landscape that I just finished, also a winter landscape that you might enjoy.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Very nice.
Yeah, I know.
This will be really helpful to see it over and over.
Yes, I think it's one of those. It's gonna help you a little bit. So here's one underneath. So I'm just breaking up some of these shapes so they're not all too. But see, the only thing I'm trying to establish is that whatever edges I leave, that they could be interpreted like a part of an evergreen, you know.
It's so pretty.
So I just need a little bit more here, underneath here. And again, you don't see me go outline a whole tree. No, I choose a little spot like this. If I go much further than that, that's when the spray bottle comes out, because I usually find out that that was a little too over the top. And here, just split this little area up and make sure, you know, none of the lines are too straight. And what else can I do? Oh, here, I actually think that here could be a good one. Like there. So there, can you see, are those evergreen shapes? I think they kind of are. I think they kind of are. And a little bit more shadow color. Cobalt blue, a little bit of the pink. A little bit more cobalt blue. A little more cobalt blue. There. Oh, I kind of left that up there, kind of unresolved, which could be okay. Just smush this out. And remember, you can still go in and lift out some shapes if need be later on. I'm gonna have a little bit dark behind. Right here would be good to have it a little bit darker, just because we have that other snow. And then down here, I think it'll be a little darker, like right around there. And push that around, and then we'll go in there. And then, if everything else fails, spray bottle. Oops, I keep putting it there. And then here again, I think I was a little too timid putting that shadow, a little bit of the shadow color underneath these areas. And shadow in here, and again smoosh it around. It's just, I don't want anything too interesting out there on the edges. That's never good. All right,
It's beautiful.
I hope that gave you some more ideas.
Yes, I don't think.
I'll tape it, and then I'll probably do another demo of that. So I'm gonna take my, I'll take my dagger brush actually. Take my dagger brush and load it up with very thick indigo that has been greened up a little tiny bit with the transparent yellow. Dab, dab, and just use the tip. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm going to find some of those little dark tips of the branches that are sticking out.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just like that. Let me get the door for you. Show it to you, and then I'll tape it, and then I'll probably do another demo of that. So I'm gonna take my, I'll take my dagger brush actually. Take my dagger brush and load it up with very thick indigo that has been greened up a little tiny bit with the transparent yellow. Dab, dab, and just use the tip. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm going to find some of those little dark tips of the branches that are sticking out.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just like that. So here we are. I have worked not very much, a little bit more on it. I put in the trunk on that little apple tree, darkest on this side, with just that same French Ultramarine Blue burnt sienna mix. And then I kind of made this side just a little bit lighter. And it blends in a little bit with the background, but that's totally fine because that's, you know, it wouldn't be like super, defined. And then I took a little rigger brush and very gently just kind of some little lines here and there, broken, not unbroken, broken to kind of indicate that you can see some of the little, same mixture, French Ultramarine Blue and burnt sienna, same as the house, same as the fence. And then I had mixed some indigo here with a little bit of yellow because I thought I wanted to put in the little tips of the twigs, and I tried it out and I didn't like it. I think it's too busy. I think it kind of destroys the whole feel of the painting. So instead, I decided that just to get a little bit more definition, a few places, actually to go in and use that same French Ultramarine Blue with a little bit of the yellow, that bluish, you know, it's more blue than it's green, because that is what I've already used in here. And if I don't like it, I can lift it out again. And I did just a little bit. So I put it on a fairly small brush. This happens to be a number 4, but it doesn't really matter. You could use your dagger brush too. And then I just find a couple of these little areas, and it's like I'm almost pushing it into the snow. And then right away, take a damp brush and I kind of smooch it around just so it's not too, you know, in your face. But a little bit of some darker areas here and there, I think can be okay. And if you don't want to do this step, I think you can leave it be. But I really don't like it if I have it, like if I left it like, you know, like hard like that. I don't think that looks very good. It kind of destroys that whole thing I tried to do with making it nice and loose. So I'm just gonna do very little around here. Few more places, just those areas that are a little bit more on the, getting closer to the focal area, a little bit here and there, but very little. And you can see I'm busy with my towel to dip out a lot of that. Because sometimes, as painters, we can change our minds as we go, and if it doesn't, what we originally thought doesn't work, leave it. Don't do it. So a few more here. And then, again, you can see I right away go in and I just really tone it way down, just so there's just a little bit here and there. And I think I'll leave it like that, quite honestly. A little bit right here. And then, good enough. And then, I already did a little bit, and I might do a little bit more on, by the road. Take a little bit more of that shadow color, which is a Cobalt Blue with a little tiny bit of the pink in it. And you can also grade it down a little bit if you feel like it. And then just a little bit on this side and loose the edge here, just because, I want to say that it goes down, right? And if the light's coming from here, it's kind of skipping over that edge there. So I'm kind of trying to give it a little bit more dimension and definition. And again, I'm busy with my loose the edge brush, right? Because we don't want it to be a hard edge. As I said earlier, snow is very much like clouds. But just by dragging it like this, can you see that kind of says that it goes down like this?
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty okay. And then what I want to say here on this side is I might do it on the, like a little opposite right here. As it goes around in the curve there. And you just drag it up there. Okay, so just a little bit more definition like that. And then let's think about it. So here would maybe also be a little bit of a snowbank. I could kind of do it like this. And right away, see, you don't want to leave too hard edges like that. Right away with the damp brush, I go in, kind of fuss that out. And let me take a look at it. And I want to fuss it out on the other side too, so that it's just gradual, just like clouds would be there. So it's just catching a little bit of that edge, and then there'll be a little shadow in here. I'm just trying to give the landscape a little bit more volume.
I don't even see any of that. The shading is hard.
But you know, a little goes a long way, but can you see how it just, it makes it a little bit more, like it has more dimension. And I'm not gonna do too crazy stuff on that. And then here, on this side, maybe a little bit more definition there. And now just go in and find a couple of these little edges. And this is way out in the corner. Who's gonna see that? Nobody. But there. And I could do a little bit here. And so it goes, and so it goes, right? I mean, it's again, it's one of those you could tinker around for hours and hours and hours. And of course, sometimes I do, but we don't want to be painting on this forever. So I think we're going to, for now, leave it where we are at. And then here, that little fence is going to be a little bit of a dip in the snow there. So there's that. And there'll be a little dip in the snow on the other side, over here. It's the same when you have trees and stuff in the snow. You know, with these, what are they called? You know, when people, they can fall into them if they're really deep and never get out again, the poor things. Yeah, those holes. Holes. I think there's a word for it, but I forgot what it is. Tree holes, yeah. I mean, I never knew of that until I moved up to Truckee and I heard this terrible, the skiers, terrible things can happen. Maybe there's a little undulation in the snow here. So there's that. But I'm just kind of breaking up the snow a little bit. And then if you needed to, like yours truly, she needs to, here, can you see, I kind of got a little running out of those. So this, now I can go in and kind of clean up a couple of edges. And I wanted that yellow to come out here, out of the windows. So I'm gonna have it lift out a little bit here, there. So it's a little lighter there. So light brings forward, dark pushes back. So we just keep that in mind. And let's see, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to doctor around with it anymore. Oh, one more thing I forgot. And that is a little bit of shadow underneath here. All that snow is going to cast a shadow on the little mailbox that I have here. And so lift that out there. And then I think this is dry enough over here that I can go ahead and take my masking off. Okay.
By the eraser?
This is not, this is a rubber cement eraser. That's a particularly for, it's not your kneaded eraser. This is meant for picking up masking fluid. Now, if you don't have that, you're welcome to borrow mine, but you can just rub it out with your fingers, or you can take a little piece of masking fluid, wrap it around your finger, and that'll also lift it out. Now, you can see when I have the snow like this, looks very cut out and not very realistic. So we need to give it a little volume. And so we go back into our very light solution of our shadow color, which is Cobalt Blue and a little bit of the pink. And right where the snow hits the subject that it's sitting on, here, the post, you put a little bit of that shadow color in. Then you can rinse it out, and you can loosen the edge inside the snow. And that was maybe a little paler than, you can barely see it. Where am I? I can't even see which one I'm working on here. So there. If you put a little bit of that shadow color in and then just kind of loose the edge, already, can you see this one doesn't look as cut out as that one? It kind of rests on the little post. And so then we can do the same on the other one. And you can go up a little bit on the shadow side, because that'll also give more shape to it. And then gently, I'm kind of losing the edge, so I don't want like a dark stripe. But can you see that there's a little highlight on the snow? And then there's shadow, a little bit of shadow as it, goes down. And the same on these. Need a little bit more shadow color. And you don't want to do it too dark, because again, we want to keep that feeling that it's snow. So too dark is not going to be super good. And so here on this long piece, I put a little bit of that color all the way along here. Then I rinse out my brush, dab it so it's just damp, and then I'm going to turn it upside down. I find that I just turn my painting so that it's the easiest to get to. And see, then I just go in with a damp brush and just kind of, whoops, and now I'm getting brown in, because I got a little bit of that brown from the post is loosening up. I'm just going to lift that out. There. Can you see now, now all of a sudden they don't look so cut out. Can you see the difference between this one and this one? And see, this one, I forgot to mask. So it's just a snow color, but it's fine.
And that's blue
If it-
and pink.
A little bit of, cobalt blue, the same shadow color we've used all along. Cobalt blue with a little tiny bit of the pink in, so that it's not like bright blue. And I'm going to do the same here. A little bit there. And it just looks best if you can go in and just loose the edge a little bit. So this is a little bit of nitty-gritty stuff, but not hard, just time-consuming. But can you see how it's good that we masked out the snow? It's because now it's a step brighter than the snow behind it. And so that's that. And I should show you, can lift out the house, the little house here. And then that comes to life, sticks out a lot more now than it did before. And do I have any masking there? No. So it will be the same thing. So the inside of the snow here will be a little bit in the shadow. So let's get that on. So you want to have, again, shadow color, dab, dab, dab. And then go on the inside here. There. That's how the snow would go. And then I'm going to turn it around so that I can get in here with a clean, damp brush. And I'm just kind of loosening the edge here a little bit, just so it's not such a harsh. And doesn't that make the snow look much more like real? And then we're going to go on the other side, and that'll also have a little bit of a shadow down to here, there, and clean my brush, lift out that edge a little bit. There we have it. Now, folks, and we can do the other edges also. They'll be the exact same. And it's just these little things that they make the difference. At least I think so. So here, there's that. And again, I always like to loosen the edge a little bit. I don't think it looks right when it's a hard edge like that. So I always go in and loosen the edge a little bit. There. And we need a little bit of shadow underneath here. There is that. Goes down like that. And again, I'm gonna lose the edge just a little bit. There. Okie dokie. Now, we have to divide this roof to tell the story of, you know, these different planes. So there'll be a division here, right? And now I'm thinking, with my logic, it would be actually this roof, this side of the roof would be a little bit darker than the other side of the roof. Of course, if the light's coming from here, I think it's gonna hit that other side more. And so I'm gonna divide that up, and I'm not gonna make this line like super super hard, always lighter. And then here, I think this is good. And I'm gonna lift out a little bit on the top because the top's gonna get more light than down here, says my logic. So I'm gonna put a little bit more shadow on there. And then on this little overhang, we also need to put a little bit of shadow on the snow. I don't know what's going on there. And there's that. And I want to have a little tiny bit of shadow down here on the roof. Down there, it's a little bit more away from the light, so I'm just going to gradually kind of pull that up. So it's more like right on that top. And I can maybe darken this shadow a little bit more here, because it's away from the light. And one more, that other little overhang. It's all those little things here that makes the difference. Bless you.
Bless you.
And then here. All right. What do you think?
Very nice.
I don't know if it's, but, you know, I think that's, and now I could just see that, you know, I needed to clean up my roof line a little bit with the dark color I have back here. And my chimney, I kind of lost my chimney because it's dark. You can't really see it, but that's okay. Maybe do that again. And then finally, we are going to get, I really like to have a little bit of light coming out of those windows. And I want to warm up the light a little bit. I think that looks cozier. So I put a little bit of the pink in my yellow. I don't want it too dark. Just a little bit like this. I think that's gonna look super cozy. And I'm gonna dab it a little bit so that it's still light. And doesn't that look cozy? Don't you want to go in and visit and see if they're serving a toddy or something?
I could use the toddy.
And then I just kind of dragged out a little bit of that yellow from the windows, right? It's reflecting in the snow. Doesn't that look cozy? And I'm dabbing it again because I don't want it too bright. I like that myself. I think that's kind of cute. Kind of cute. I think that's, yeah, I'll clean up a few lines here and there, but basically I think that's done.